Hey everyone, welcome to Creating with Jazzy Bundles. Today we are going to make Z fold cards. Let's get jazzy. My name is Jenny and this is Creating with Jazzy Bundles, the channel where we take our simple supplies from your neighborhood craft store or favorite online retailer and turn them into one-of-a-kind pieces of art. If you like this video, hit subscribe before you leave and ring the bell to be the first to see our new videos. And with that, let's get started on today's craft. For your Z fold cards, you will need the following supplies: some cardstock and some pattern paper, or you can use some just different colors of cardstock for your different layers. I'm going to use a piece of dark brown cardstock and then some from this scrapbooking pad that I had gotten one time from Michael's, and it was a pack that I've gotten quite a while ago, but it's got some double-sided paper, which is kind of cool, and some of it has a little bit of some sparkle to it. You can see in this one it's a little bit foil. So I've taken a couple pieces of this out to be able to use in today's card. And then my base is going to be in this brown. You're also going to need something to be able to cut your cardstock with. So you can use some scissors, a paper trimmer, a guillotine. I've trimmed all my papers down already for today, so you won't see me do that, but you'll need something to be able to cut your papers down with. You're also going to need some adhesive, which today I will probably mostly be using my art glitter glue for my wet glue, and then some double-sided tape that I got from Amazon. You may also need a ruler or a scoring tool, and I'll show you a really easy way. I don't have a scoring tool right now, but I did pick up this really cool T ruler, and I'll show you a really easy way to be able to score your papers if you don't have a scoring tool yet. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is take our base piece of cardstock that we're going to use for the base of our card. In this card, it's a light cream color, and so we need to take that base piece of cardstock and cut it down to be the size of our card. Now, before I cut mine, I like to go ahead and score it, because then I'm only scoring once instead of scoring 2 or 3 pieces of paper and hoping that I get everything lined up exactly in the same way. So I'm going to show you that little trick that I was talking about earlier, where I score my paper, since I don't have a scoring tool yet. So I take my piece of cardstock and I line it up on, I'm using my glass media mat to line it up, since I've got a grid in here. You can also use a cutting mat that you might use for sewing, or just a couple of rulers, whatever is easiest for you. Then I take my T ruler, and I got this honestly for just a couple bucks off of Amazon. It really is not a very expensive ruler. And I line it up, and you want to make your score lines at a 2 3/4 inch in and 5 1/2, or halfway down the paper. So I just take this, line it up where it needs to be, and you're going to use some type of a tool to be able to score. Now you can use a bone folder. You can also, I have these little, I guess they're for dot painting, and it just has this little ball on the end of it. And I use this for scoring my papers. Again, these really didn't cost very much. And even if you were to go the route of getting both these and this T-square ruler, it's still going to be much cheaper than a scoring tool. And I just go across and I score up and down, and I do that again at the 5 1/2 mark, and I just score it back and forth. And now I know it's gonna be really hard for you to see since I've used a brown piece of paper here, but I've got my 2 score lines. Now I'm gonna take this piece of paper and I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna make 2 cuts. And you're going to make those cuts at the 4 1/4 inches down from the top, and then either 2 3/4 inches down from the top of that next piece, or 1 1/2 inches up from the top. Either way, basically you're going to end up with 3 pieces of paper, or 3 pieces cut from your cardstock. Okay, and it's going to be cut like this, where you have all of your score lines on one side, and all you're going to do is you're going to take one and flip it, and these will be the pieces for your Z fold. Now I have done a couple of these different cards, and I like to use these measurements because it gives me my base card and then 2 different options to use for my middle band in the middle. This card here, I used this 1 1/2 inch, and I used it up at the top, so you can see that there. And that's going to be the size that I use in this next card with you today. In this one that I did the other day, I used the larger one for the middle, and I made it right in the middle, so you can see that there. I actually also trimmed a little bit off of each side so that it would fit a little bit more layered just for this particular card, but it can go all the way out to the edge, like I have this one here. This is how most people usually make them, is all the way out to the edge, and that's gonna be what we're gonna do today. Okay, so after you've got your paper, your base cardstock cut into your 3 sections, take out the band that you're not going to use, and you'll just be left with these 2, and you're going to have them facing opposite directions. So on the base, your large piece is going to be off to the right, the larger square or rectangle, and on the smaller thin strip, the larger rectangle will be off to the left. And I've got mine right here. So now you're going to go ahead and you're going to fold it, and let's start with the thinner strip. So the thinner strip, I've got my larger rectangle off to the left. I'm going to fold it back on itself, and then I'm going to flip it over, and where the score line is on the other side, go ahead and fold that in the same spot. And this is your band. Now you're going to take your larger piece, make sure the larger rectangle is over on the right hand side, and I like to fold it in half first, right where you've got your score line. And then fold it back on itself where you've got your score line again. And now you've got the base of your card. So that when you put these together, you have your Z fold card. And it sits nicely together. Okay. All right, the next thing is our layers. So on top of each of these, we're going to have a layer. Now, just so that in case you decided you wanted to use this middle piece here, I have those ones measured out for you also. So for your big base, your layers are going to be 4 inches by 2.5, 4 inches by 2.5, so you need 2 of those, and then one piece that is 4 by 5.25. Then on your bands, depending on which one of these you decide to do, you're going to need, if we do the larger band, it'll be 2.5 by 5.25, and then 2 pieces that are 2.5 by 2.5, one for each of the spaces there. And then for the smaller band, if you decide to do that one, it's 1.25 by 5.25 and 1.25 by 2.5, and you'll need 2 of those 1.25 by 2.5. Now again, these are just how I have cut my 2 pieces. You can cut them to be any size you want. You also can cut your layers to be any size you want. I like to have just about 1/8 of an inch around each of the sides. So I cut 1/4 inch smaller than my outside piece. You can see here, 2 3/4 and 2.5. Okay. All right. So once we have those all cut out, we can start putting our card together. I have my pieces. All right, I got all of my pieces here that I'm going to use. Now it's time to line it up and get it on the paper. All right, so we'll start with our larger piece first. Take our cardstock. I don't know if you can hear him or not, but I have this little bird that comes to my back deck, and he is just out there chirping away. It seems very loud to me. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. But now sometimes I will use my double-sided tape here instead of my art glitter glue. It just depends on the type of paper that I'm using. This particular scrapbooking paper, cardstock, is really thick, so it does not wave, make any wave at all. And the art glitter glue is really good about not making the papers all wavy and deformed or whatever. So I'm just going to use my glue today since it holds pretty good. All right, now for the thinner one. Right, now we have our 2 pieces. so that when they are together, it will look, well, I'm going to put mine on the bottom actually, since it's little trees and they tend to grow on the ground. Once we finish putting it in place, it'll be just like that. All right, so for this part, you can use your glue again if you want to. I'm going to use double-sided tape because I just feel like it's a little stronger, especially since I'm going to be playing and moving the card around right away, and not waiting and letting it dry. So you can use your art glitter glue, you can use glue dots or anything else that you want to. It probably all works. This is just my preference. You should always do what's most comfortable and easiest for you to do. But you're going to put it only where it's going to attach on the front and attach on the very back, just on the edges. So a little bit here and here. So you can see that when I go and flip this over, this is where it's going to go. Okay. All right. Make sure. Okay. Alrighty. Mine is just a little off somewhere. When I folded it, I just got it a little off. So I'm going to adhere it on the back first instead of all at once together. Oh, this is sticking to me. And then close it. And then push it down on the front. And there's our Z-fold card. So I'm going to finish this card off by, in the scrapbooking paper that I got in that pad, they had one of those pages that just has a whole bunch of different kind of little sayings, different things, that little sentiments kind of almost. So I cut them all out and I am going to use this one here. And I think I'm going to trim it down just a little bit and maybe stick it across the top. You could put another layer behind it if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do that for today, for this one. Now, if you wanted to be able to write something on the inside of this, and I'll probably do this later at some point, you might take another piece of light color paper, either cream or white, depending on your colors, and just put it back here so that you can write a hand message or sign your name or whatever for the person that you're giving it to. But there you have it. There is a very simple Z-fold card. Now you don't have to put this band at the bottom, right? You can put it in the middle, you can put it up at the top. This other one that I did here, I put it up at the top. And then this one that I did the other day for Halloween, I put it in the middle. So you really can do anything you want to. Don't be limited by what you think I did. I would love to see what you're doing and see what creativity you've got. Don't forget to click subscribe and ring the bell to be the first to see our new videos. We would love to hear from you in the comments or on our social media. Show us your cards. If you enjoyed this tutorial, check out our other card making tutorials. And if you want to watch some of our other tutorials, check out this playlist here.